So I work as a senior program officer for women's health innovations. So my work mostly, I make products for women's health. So we work on AI guided ultrasound for heavy menstrual bleeding and all sorts of diagnostics for women's health. My main work is in diagnostics, and my main work is in diagnostics product development specifically for women's health. I have been doing that for about 3 years at the foundation. I joined sometime in January of 2023. So I have been at the foundation for about 3 years. My background, I trained as an MD, then I trained in Africa, so worked in a number of government hospitals. Then I came to the University of Washington and did my MPH or master's I came for graduate school, I did a master's in global health, but with a focus on research. Then I went to Europe and did a PhD at Ghent University, and again did a PhD in research. So I have been working in clinical care and research for women's health for the last maybe 15 or so years. So I have worked in quite a number of places at UW in Europe, and I was leading a research institution in Africa before I joined here. So doing a lot of clinical research and product development for women's health. You'll see some of our products are displayed here. We have a product on cervical cancer screening. So it's a really nice, cool gadget for cervical cancer screening. And that's part of what our team here at the foundation has developed. We have a product for testing or screening for sexually transmitted infections, gonorrhea, chlamydia. We've had some products on HIV prevention, especially among women. And then we also have products that support diagnosis of women's conditions. So yeah, so product development, women's health. I think that's how it's summarized.
Casual. You guys got all of that?
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's incredible. So I mean, pretty long journey to get here, right?
Yeah.
You started as a medical doctor in Kenya.
Yeah.
That's where you did your first
That's
round
where I
of
did my
education
first,
and career, working for government hospitals. And then you got your MPH, Master of Public Health.
Yeah.
Right. And then you got your doctorate in Germany.
In Belgium.
Belgium.
Yes. Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, on one of our meals you explained that, or maybe at your home,
Yeah.
it was research in HIV.
Yes. Yeah.
And his dissertation is like a little booklet. I'm bragging now because Griffin's is very humble. It's a little booklet that politicians use to help write policies on preventable diseases.
Wow.
Yeah. Sort of. Yeah.
Awesome.
It's for. So we actually did a study in the whole country and like figured out what are some of the innovations that can be used to improve access to care and to reduce HIV, the risk of women getting HIV. And that's part of what is used for policy and for budgeting and for interventions in the country. So,
I think that's so cool, you guys. You're thinking of somebody who is giving back to their community through having this bright mind, using their career, their education, to help elevate the local community. I mean,
Yes.
to me, that's so beautiful.
Yes.
Like, looking for the common good of their country and their communities. I'll ask you the same question I asked Jeff. What has your faith meant for you on this long journey in different chapters of education, of schooling, and now here it's we're really far from home too. So,
what has my faith meant to me? I guess it's one of those things that's it's grounding. And you know, for me, it's interesting because it's been up and down, but it's been consistent. And this is how I'd put it. I have had moments of doubt. I have had moments when I think I spent about 5-6 years when I did. So I'll tell you about I was brought up in an Adventist home, and my parents were extremely strict. They were, and it was Adventism in the late 90s Africa. We went to church at 8 a.m. and didn't get back home until 3 p.m.
full day.
And so my promise to myself was the moment I'd be out of that house, I'd be done.
Aww. Yeah.
So I think at some point when I was especially an undergraduate, I wasn't very centered on God and on church. And then I think all through grad school and all through life as an adult, I think it's become very clear that it's the only constant, it's the only thing that works. And I think for me, I've been out and back in, and I've realized that I guess I came to the realization that this is the only way that you can, that it works. Otherwise, I think you end up and I have ended up being very disillusioned and ungrounded. And so I think that reminds me on a daily basis that it's the only way to make sure that I'm functional. And I think that's the one
Amen.
reason why I have maintained, and that's why I maintain a certain consistency in how I view my relationship with God. Because I have seen a place when I didn't have a relationship with God and it didn't work. And so I do it because I know it's the only way that it works.
That's
Amen.
amazing.
Yeah.
Praise
Yeah, I think
God.
that's a powerful testimony. I think of, these are individuals who are in the top schools. You've kind of heard some of the schools mentioned, and this is the largest foundation in the world, right? These are high places, but that doesn't mean they don't live highly stressful lives. It actually means that they do live highly stressful lives. They're away from home. It's hard to move your family here. Different culture, a lot of pressure right now. We talked about kind of the immigration stuff going on. A lot of stress right now. So how much more important is faith, right? To have that groundedness that
Amen.
Griffin's just talking about.
Yes.
Okay, last question, then we'll do a little Q&A with the students. Local church, what has that been like for you? How important, what would you say is the value of a local church?
It's a
while you're working
community.
your career?
It's a community. And then especially if you're in a place like Seattle, it feels like it becomes one of the few places where you truly have a community. I think the local church is also a place where you get to serve and you get to, we have opportunities to serve in quite a number of other places, but I feel like the local church is one of the places where you get an opportunity to make use of your talent, to make use of what you have available. I think one of the things that I have been raised with and that I find very, very important in life in general is the verse, to whom much has been given, much is expected. You don't need it if you're not gonna use it.
That's right.
Good.
It's really useless if it's only useful to yourself alone.
Yeah.
And I think in the course of life I have learned that the most useful thing you can do, it's not worth it being smart if your smartness is only helpful to yourself. It's not worth it being hardworking if it's only helpful to yourself. It has to be used for other people for it to be useful. Otherwise it just looks nice, but it's pretty redundant. And so getting a place where you get an opportunity to serve is probably the highest form of service. It's the highest use of your time and of your being as a human.
Amen to that.
Yeah. So I think that gives you an opportunity. Being a member and being plugged into your local church gives you an opportunity to
What a good word.
serve.
What a good word.
Yeah, and
Amen.